Elon Musk versus Apple. Biden gives a pass to Saudi Arabia. And Balenciaga's creepy predatory ad campaign. That and more on this week's headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. The Mauna Loa volcano in Hawaii, the world's largest active volcano, erupted this week. Initially, authorities said the lava flow posed no danger to nearby communities, but are now on high alert as the lava is approaching a major highway. This was the Mauna Loa's first eruption since 1984, and it marked the most heated, explosive outburst since the last time a restaurant server made eye contact with James Corden. Speaking of hot messes, Twitter. Elon Musk went to war with Apple this week, saying the tech giant mostly stopped advertising on Twitter. Musk also said that Apple threatened to withhold Twitter from its App Store, but won't tell him why. Apple thinks Twitter is toxic and is leaving them behind without a second thought? Who do they think they are? Me in 2017? But in all seriousness, while Twitter is and always has been a dumpster fire, it's a huge platform and can also be an important tool for journalism. Like when people share real-time footage of protests or document abuses of power. Apple is one of Twitter's largest advertisers, so losing them would be a serious blow. You know what they say in the corporate world, an apple a day keeps the shareholders at bay. Luckily for Musk, he met with Apple CEO Tim Cook and said they resolved the misunderstanding. But besides battling big tech companies and advertisers, Twitter also now has to contend with the Biden administration. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said they were keeping a close eye on Musk's takeover and the spread of misinformation on the site, which probably isn't the best thing to admit when the administration is currently being sued for colluding with big tech companies to suppress free speech. That'd be like going to court for being a peeping Tom and then showing everyone in the jury your new binoculars. But that's what Musk says this is all about, free speech. That and posting meme pictures, like this one of his bedside table. This looks like he's trying to be Scarface, but doesn't realize that's the wrong type of Coke. Musk said he would publish what he's calling the Twitter files, which he says show how the site engaged in free speech suppression before he took over. He also said the battle for free speech is a battle for the future of civilization, and if lost, only tyranny lies ahead. Oh, come on, these tech companies, advertisers, and the White House are just trying to fight misinformation. Misinformation like saying the Liver King is all natty, bro. What's wrong with that? But there's a bigger problem than misinformation itself. It's who gets to decide what gets labeled misinformation. Will it be corporations and politicians? Gee, who's more trustworthy than them? What's the worst that could happen? Glad you asked. At this very moment, protests are raging in China against the government and their strict zero-COVID policy. The authoritarian Chinese Communist Party is trying to suppress the free speech of its citizens, and they're getting help from, wait for it, Apple. Apple restricted airdrop features in China ahead of these protests, taking away a vital communication tool among protesters. I'm sure this has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that protests in China would hurt Apple's production of its products. Protests at a Chinese factory have already set the company back by 6 million iPhones. So yeah, maybe trusting corporations and politicians to have our best interests in mind isn't the best idea. Maybe like a chicken hiring a mongoose as a babysitter. Take good care of my egg now. As disgusting as it is to help the Chinese regime suppress protests, the thing I'm even more mad at Apple about right now is proving that a guy whose bedside table looks like this might actually know what he's doing. More after the break. Welcome back. Merriam-Webster announced that their 2022 word of the year is gaslighting, which makes a lot more sense than their 2021 word of the year, bonerama. What? You don't think that was Merriam-Webster's word of the year last year? Of course it was. You just don't remember. You're always forgetting things like that. Speaking of gaslighting, the Biden administration. Remember when Joe Biden promised to make Saudi Arabia pay the price for killing and dismembering Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi and pledged to make the nation a pariah? No, you don't. What are you talking about? I never said that. I have no idea where those headlines you just saw came from. That's just Bonerama. The report on Jamal Khashoggi's killing concluded that his murder was committed on behalf of and approved by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Despite this, the Biden administration determined the Crown Prince was immune from a lawsuit brought forth against him by Khashoggi's fiancée over his murder. The Justice Department said Mohammed bin Salman, the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, is the sitting head of government and accordingly is immune from this suit. Khashoggi's fiancée said Biden saved the murderer by granting immunity. He saved the criminal and got involved in the crime himself. Let's see who will save you in the hereafter. And Biden has been criticized for this from all sides, including left-leaning media that usually support him. Turns out Pepperidge Farms isn't the only one who remembers Biden's vows. Biden may actually be the only one who forgot. He was criticized for visiting Saudi Arabia over the summer in an attempt to try and convince the Crown Prince to increase oil production and help ease soaring gas prices. He received even more criticism for fist-bumping the Crown Prince, although he said he did bring up the murder of Khashoggi with him afterwards. So he knew about it, but fist-bumped him anyway. That's even worse than if he didn't know. That'd be like hugging O.J. Simpson and then saying later, "It's okay, I told him afterward that I wasn't a fan of, well, you know, his acting in the Naked Gun movies." That trip to Saudi Arabia didn't end well, and Biden vowed consequences for Saudi Arabia because they had cut their oil production. Yet a few months later, he's giving the Crown Prince a pass for murder. How does Biden have such a short-term memory? Is he secretly a goldfish, like that character from Umbrella Academy? Forget briefings, Biden should just have important reminders tattooed on himself like a memento at this point. Speaking of people that Biden's disappointed, railroad workers. Back in September, Biden worked with rail worker unions and management companies to reach a deal that would prevent a massive strike. However, 4 of the 12 unions rejected the deal. They demanded better pay, safer working conditions, and more paid sick leave. The deadline to reach a new deal is December 9th. Otherwise, up to 100,000 rail workers could walk out. And you can tell how long rail employees have been overworked by the lyrics to "I've Been Working on the Railroad." They've been working all the livelong day, with no overtime. Not to mention the tinnitus from Dinah constantly blowing her horn. Yeah, I'd want to strike too. A railroad strike would be catastrophic. Biden said, "Let me be clear, a rail shutdown would devastate our economy. Without freight rail, many U.S. industries would shut down." Over 400 business groups pleaded with Congress to take immediate steps to block a strike. Biden sided with them, asking Congress to step in and force an end to a future strike. He said, "As a proud pro-labor president, I'm reluctant to override the ratification procedures and the views of those who voted against the agreement. But in this case, where the economic impact of a shutdown would hurt millions of other working people and families, I believe Congress must use its powers to adopt this deal." Essentially, this would force the current deal to take effect, despite the 4 unions rejecting it and trying to hold out for something better. Workers would receive more benefits than they had been getting, but not as much as they were demanding. A major sticking point is the fact that railroad companies made record profits while spending far less for labor. Bernie Sanders and other progressive Democrats are upset by this, saying Congress should side with the workers instead of the businesses. He wants them to be guaranteed sick leave. As of this recording, the House and Senate did both vote to impose the deal on the rail workers, and Biden was set to sign it. At the very least, I just hope the rail workers can be guaranteed that Dinah will finally stop blowing her dang horn. And after the break, the creepy Balenciaga saga. Welcome back. High-end fashion company Balenciaga received massive backlash after releasing ads featuring young children posing with teddy bear bags wearing S&M bondage outfits. The teddy bears were wearing the bondage outfits, not the kids. You know, for that coveted demographic of shoppers who like being fashionable, but also think the only problem with furries is they aren't creepy enough. Even people who say you shouldn't kink shame saw these ads and thought, well, I was wrong. Shame, shame. Balenciaga apologized and pulled the ad, saying it was a poor decision. I'm sure it was just a silly mistake. I mean, it's not like they were trying to imply something sinister or advocate harm against children. That's what I would say if it weren't for the fact that another ad they were running at the same time featured a poorly hidden court document from a case involving child pornography. You know, like everyone has just lying around. Who was the marketing genius behind this ad campaign? Jared Fogle? Kim Kardashian, who's worked with the brand for years, spoke out against the company, saying she would be reevaluating her relationship with them over this. Not all of their celebrity partners condemned them, though. The CEO of Kering, Balenciaga's parent company, and his wife Salma Hayek have remained silent on the matter. And Nicole Kidman, who did a photo shoot for Balenciaga just over a week ago that's still up on her Instagram page, hasn't said a word about this disastrous campaign. Although, to be fair to her, she's probably still locked in that empty AMC theater, being brainwashed by whatever's on that screen until they unleash her like the Winter Soldier. Balenciaga scrubbed their social media and posted an apology. They said that the court document was provided by a third party and was likely used as a prop in a television drama. They're now suing that third party for $25 million over this. Because how dare the third party make them put this court document in plain view during the photo shoot and somehow have the photographer, editor, and everyone else involved completely miss it? Balenciaga also vowed to revise the way they operate and announced they would work with organizations that try to protect children and stop child abuse and exploitation. However, this hasn't stopped conspiracy theories from spreading, and many people are calling them Satanists. I'm sorry, did I say conspiracy theories? After all this, they should maybe just be called theories. Who knows? Maybe the Mauna Loa erupting isn't a naturally occurring event at all, and instead a satanic summoning ritual that opened a portal to hell. If that's the case, we can be sure of one thing. Biden will promise to make Lucifer a pariah shortly before fist-bumping him. So what do you think about the stories we covered this week? Leave your comments below. And if you want to help us deliver nonpartisan news, be sure to support America Uncovered by going to patreon.com/America Uncovered. All it takes is as little as $1 or more per episode to fight YouTube's censorship and demonetization. We rely on your support to help us keep making great episodes. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.